welcome back to Math with Mr. Antoine. I am Mr. Antoine. Okay, now we have exponents that we're working on. We're now going to do some examples. So what I'm looking for you to have is some scrap paper, a pen or pencil, so that you have an ability to do the examples also. I'm going to do the examples, but what I'm asking of you is that you can pause your pause the video in order for you to be able to do the examples yourself, try it out, see if you get it, and then from there I'll just go over it and then we'll see if our answers match, if we have the same answers. That way you know you're doing them correctly. Okay, you have for this, the direction is for us to write the expressions in exponential form. Okay, so they want us to write this in each expression in exponential form. So we have to make it so that we can see that there's a base and an exponent. Okay, take a moment, all right? Pause for a moment, and then come back after you get your answers. I'll be here waiting. Okay, now, if you've done them, here's what you should have for the first one. The first one, we're just making sure we take a look at it, and I see that the base is 3. So 3 is the base for all of them. So it's going to be, it's going to be equal to 3. And how many times is that 3 being multiplied? I'm going to say 1, 2, 3, 4 times. So it's going to be 3 to the 4th power. So the exponential form for the first one is 3 to the 4th power. Remember, this is an expanded form. Now we're writing it in exponential form. The second one, in expanded form, is -4 times -4 times -4 times -4 times -4. So now that would be equal to, same as if I take the base, and my base here is -4. Now remember, we said before, we want to make sure we keep these in parentheses. Okay, and I'll explain why at a later time. But now we're going to have, this is -4. And how many times we have that base is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that means it has an exponent of 5. So that's -4 to the 5th power. All right. For the next one, I have 1/8 times 1/8 times 1/8. So my base is 1/8 or 1/8. That means that when I rewrite this in exponential form, it's going to be 1/8. And again, we want to put parentheses around it. And that will now be to the 3rd power, right? Remember, if we wrote it like this, the reason why this would be considered not correct, because this is pretty much saying that only the 1 is to the 3rd power. You want the whole fraction of 1/8 to the 3rd power. So this would not be the correct answer. This one is, okay? And finally, for number 4, for this set of problems or set of expressions, we want to write this one is going to be -2/9. So now we have the base is -2/9. -2/9. Again, put that in parentheses, and that's not going to be 1, 2, 3, so it's going to be to the 3rd power. All right, and that's it for numbers 1 through 4 for that set. Okay, let's try this next one. Okay, now, okay, we got numbers 5 through 8. We're going to write the expressions in expanded form. Okay, so again, pause the video, so give yourself a moment to try it out, and then come back and let's see if we got the answers correct. Okay, so now for the first one, again, you're writing them in expanded form. The expressions have to be written in expanded form. So for the first one, it says 8 to the 3rd power. What's the base? The base is 8. So that means I'm going to take that 8 and I'm going to multiply it. 8 times 8. I'm going to multiply it 3 times. So it's going to be 8 times 8 times 8. All right? That's going to be your expanded form. All right? For the next one, number 6, that's -5. Now notice it's going to have parentheses around the whole thing, around the -5. And that's going to be to the 2nd power. All right? So now what that means is the base is -5. So it's going to be -5. And I'm going to put parentheses around that. Times another -5. And put parentheses around that. There it is. That's how you have an expanded form. All right, for number 7, now it's 1 3/10, or it's written as 1.3, and that's going to be to the 4th power. Sometimes you can see parentheses around it, but many times not, because of the fact they're saying that the whole decimal is going to be to the fourth power. So that would now be written as the base being 1.3. The exponent is going to be 4, so we're writing this base 4 times. 1.3 times 1.3, or 1 3/10 times 1 3/10 times another 1 3/10. Okay. Again, you can use the point for the multiplication. If you feel you want to use the x, you can use that as well. All right. And finally, for this one, number 8. Now, number 8, that says 9w. Okay. Now, 9w, since the parentheses is around the whole 9 times w, that means we're going to do the 9 times w. That is our base. That 9w is the base. And that is now going to be to the third power. So we're going to do this 9 times w 3 times to be multiplied. So it's going to be 9w times another 9w times another 9w. Okay? And there you have it. We're writing them in expanded form. Okay? All right. And now for our final set. Okay? Let's try these. Okay? So now the instructions are telling us to evaluate the expressions. Okay, now we have to find out what's the value of it, all right, and what it would be in standard form. Again, take a minute to work this out. I'll be here waiting. Okay, so let's begin evaluating. The first expression is 2 to the 4th power. So what I'm going to do is first write it in expanded form, as we've done with all the exponents that we have. We write it in expanded form, so it's going to be 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. And again, to evaluate, I'm going to do the multiplication. I'm going to take step by step. So it'll be 2 times 2, which is 4, multiplied to the next 2, so that'll be 4 times 2, which is equal to 8, multiply it to the last 2 that's here, and 8 times 2 is 16. So when I evaluate the expression 2 to the 4th power, I get 16. All right, and that's in standard form. Let's try number 10 now. For number 10, it's negative 3 to the 3rd power. Remember, inside the parentheses, the base is negative 3. So let's write this out in expanded form as negative 3, parentheses, times negative 3 times negative 3. Okay, and then we take it step by step. It's negative 3 times negative 3, which gives me a positive 9. And the 9 times this negative 3 will come out to negative 27, because a positive times a negative is a negative. So it's going to be negative 27. So negative 3 to the 3rd power is going to be negative 27. Okay, how about this one? It's a fraction. We got 4/5 to the 2nd power. Remember, the base is 4/5. So that's going to be equal to, in expanded form, let me put it down here, 4/5 times 4/5. Now let's make sure, remember, to do the multiplication, you're going to multiply the numerators and you multiply the denominators. So 4 times 4 is equal to 16. And 5 times 5 is 25. So what we get when we evaluate the expression is 16/25. All right. Let's try this one. Okay, it's a negative 1/3. So the base is negative 1/3, and that's going to be to the 4th power. So let's write this in expanded form, which is going to be negative 1/3 times negative 1/3 times negative 1/3 times negative 1/3. Okay, now, what we have here when we multiply is going to be 1 times 1, all right? Or matter of fact, let's try it this way. Let's take it step by step. If you take negative 1/3 times a negative 1/3, all right, that's going to be a positive. So this is going to come out to be a positive, and it'll be 1 times 1, which is 1, and 3 times 3 is 9. So that'll be positive 1/9. Now take that positive 1/9 and multiply it to the next negative 1/3. Okay, and that now is going to be a positive times a negative, which is now a negative, right? And then we have 1 times 1, which is still 1, and 9 times 3 is 27. So now what I have is that the 1/9 multiplied to negative 1/3 is negative 1/27. Now, let's take that, okay? I'm just going to cover this up here. So now I have the negative 1/27, and now multiplying it to this final negative 1/3. A negative times a negative is a positive. So it's going to be positive. And then you have 1 times 1, which is still 1. And 27 times 3 is going to come out to 81. Okay, and after all that work, we found that it's going to be 1 over 81, or 1/81 is going to be my final answer, and it is positive. All right. Now, I showed all the steps in order for you to derive the answer. You can probably start taking some shortcuts if you find other ways for you to do it. For example, if someone understands a positive times a positive, a negative times negative is a positive, and then that positive times a negative is a negative, and then multiply it by this is going to come out positive. You can do that at one shot instead of going through all these steps, but the steps just show you exactly how is the answer going to work itself out. Okay, and there you have it, everybody, evaluating the expressions. Okay, so I hope that this helps you to understand. Again, continue to keep working on your math. Keep up the good work. That's Mr. Antoine signing out. Peace.